So, interview tips or common interview questions to be aware of. What do you think is the best way to prepare for an interview?
Yeah. So the way I prepare for interviews personally, and I think it shows when candidates do this too, I try to think of examples from my career that I want to talk about. So I think about my big wins. I think about the challenging projects. I think about those times when I really had to work across departments. I try to rack my brain. I try to make sure I'm pulling from different companies, different types of examples, different technologies. And I try to have all those in my back pocket. So whatever questions the recruiter asks or the interviewers ask, I already have in my mind a couple of examples that I can probably fit to the questions they're asking. And a lot of good interviewers, they're going to want to go beyond just hypothetical. They're probably not going to just be like quizzing you. So they're going to want to know what you've actually done and how you approached it. So I think having those like behavioral interview question examples ready to go, then you'll be prepared for whatever they throw at you, hopefully. What
Yeah.
do you do? Yeah, how do you prep
Okay.
people?
Okay. So I've got a bit of a story here. I do a little bit in Holland, but I basically just do the American market now.
Yeah.
But originally, I used to do the UK market, and there's a large financial auditor in the UK. This candidate was really good. He was through to a final. I think it was a Friday afternoon in London, Kaitlin. It was sunny. I was like,
Okay.
this is great. Client's happy, candidate's happy. This guy was really good, senior pen tester. And I said, yeah, it's in the bag. Just relax. It's fine. And it was the worst thing I could. And this guy was genuinely very good. And he did what I told him to. And he just relaxed. And it was Friday afternoon. And he got a couple of technical questions thrown at him. And it just caught him off guard. And he didn't get the offer. He didn't get the job. And I was like, oh, this is my fault. And so
Oh.
after that, ever since that day, I've always been like, just really, the phrase I use is just keep your guard up, stay on your A game, especially towards the end of a
Mhm.
process. This was quite a long process. They were a very large financial auditor. So it was, I think, 4 or 5 stages. Everyone had really liked him. And he just let his guard down too early. He thought he had it in the bag.
Yeah.
And so ever since then, I've always said just always expect technical questions. If it
Mhm.
turns out not to be so, I think just always prepare for a technical
Mhm.
test. Don't ever let your guard down. But yeah, I learned the hard way many years ago. So yeah, that's my tip. Just
Dang.
stay on point.
That is disappointing. I can see that going down. And that's where if being in-house and being able to sometimes be like, listen, I don't really have a horse in this game. I just want to see us hire the right person. And I'll go to hiring managers and be like, I think you're making mistakes. I understand maybe this interview didn't go as planned, but we have 3 or 4 other interviews that were awesome. So what went off the rails? What was the problem? Is that just a single thing that happened this day? Is it somebody who's nervous? Is it somebody who doesn't interview well? Or is it truly like an indicator of a personality trait or a skill gap that isn't going to fit with the org and with the role? So that's another place where like you want the recruiter in your corner. And I think being a good partner through the process to your recruiter too, sometimes they might be able to get in there and fight for you.
Yeah,
But
no,
it's
listen,
harder agency. It's your job is harder when it comes to influencing like that.
it is. I think, again, it just depends on the communication and the relationships. There's a really large tech company in California. They've got about 100 people on their
Mm-hmm.
internal team,
Cool.
but they do still use me for some senior pen testing hires. They hire loads of pen testers themselves, but we partner together on kind of management slash
Mhm.
pen tester roles. And my point of contact there, she's great, and I can really, really lean on her. The relationship's really good. So I think I think having that strong relationship with an internal recruiter is really good, recruiter to recruiter. But yeah, I suppose it is getting that feedback is obviously a great thing as well, because it means moving forward you can like
Yeah,
immensely improve. But I think yeah, it's just communication, relationship. But it's easier said than done. It's
it
just
is.
finding the right people, isn't it?
The other thing I
Uh,
see with some of our interviewers at Bishop Fox that I always tell people to be prepared for, like our CEO in particular, is really interesting to interview with because he's super engaged and he really listens, but he's also terrifying to interview with because he's really quiet and he
okay.
asks a lot of follow-up questions. So I also warn people, whatever you bring into the interview, be prepared for somebody to be like, but why did you do it that way? In retrospect, would you have done something differently? Did you think about approaching it from this angle? And I think being ready for somebody to really dig in. So anything you bring to the table in an interview, be prepared to have somebody really take you to the mat and ask a lot of follow-up questions. And if you're not prepared for that, then maybe just don't bring it into the interview. Just don't have that be the thing you talk about or the example if you can help it.
Yeah, I think the thing is with you guys at Bishop Fox, like there is so much you've done in the community, and like literally there's a lot. I'm quite an obsessive guy, so naturally I'll just be like, but that's what you should be doing. And in terms of kind of asking questions and stuff like that, if you've read the ins and outs of everything you guys have done, there will definitely be some questions there that you've got. So I think it doesn't take too long either. And also, it's really interesting. I think to do that bit of research first and check someone out and show off your reconnaissance skills.
Yeah, I think already at that recruiter interview stage, I think sometimes people are like, oh, I'll invest my time after I talk to the recruiter. And I understand if we're all busy, we all have things. I've never gone into a recruiter interview without having done my research on the company, because what's the point of even talking to the recruiter if you don't have a sense of this is a company, like this is what they do, I'm in alignment with this mission, or I'm in alignment with this work, and it seems like a place I would enjoy. And if you've done that research, then chances are there's some things you want to know as a candidate. And I think it's really important that you advocate for yourself by asking those things.
Yeah, I'd say on the flip side, so if you haven't done your research, I think for a pen tester, for any pen testers listening, think how annoyed it is when you get hit up for a sock roll when you're a pen tester from a recruiter that doesn't know what they're doing, or a pen tester or a recruiter that says something about your profile and they blatantly haven't looked at your profile. I think that's the equivalent, because that kind of thing I know from speaking to candidates, it's really annoying. So I think, just it's common courtesy, and it shows that you care and conscientious and stuff like that. Yeah. Cool.
And how I think if you don't do your research and then you get in there and it's really cool and you blew it because you didn't do your research, like I've seen that happening, and that's disappointing. So I think you do yourself a service by taking 10 minutes, right? I don't expect you to know the company better than I know the company, but it's great if you know what we do. That's like a good baseline. If you can go beyond that, extra credit points.